Ladies and gentlemen, there exists a power so underestimated, yet so essential, that most overlook it in pursuit of louder victories. That power is calm, and I tell you today, calm is not the absence of action, nor is it a sign of weakness. Calm is power under control. It is the mastery of your own emotions, the command of your own mind, and the steady hand that holds your destiny. In every life, storms arise, and in those storms most people panic. They react, they explode, but the man or woman who remains calm remains in command. Calmness is not a passive state, it is active self-governance. It is the art of choosing clarity over chaos, purpose over panic. You cannot build an empire with a scattered mind. You cannot climb a mountain while trembling at every gust of wind. I have studied the minds of great achievers. Without exception, they all share this hidden force, the ability to remain calm when others crumble. Because from calmness springs accurate thought, and from accurate thought comes sound decision. That is where success begins, not in the noise of reaction, but in the quiet of intention. Do not mistake energy for power. Energy without direction is chaos, but calmness directs energy. It is the invisible force that determines the quality of your response. It separates the mediocre from the master. It allows you to listen deeply, act wisely, and command respect without raising your voice. The man who cannot control his temper is a slave. The man who cannot hold his peace is a prisoner. But the man who keeps his soul steady, he is free, he is strong, he is unstoppable, because while the world shouts, he thinks. While others strike blindly, he plans, and while others fall apart, he rises with purpose. You will never control the world, you were never meant to. But you can control you, and when you do, the world must respond. Calmness is the language of leaders. It is the discipline of the great. It is the signature of strength, not born in comfort, but forged in the fires of self, discipline, and thought. So I ask you now, will you master yourself, or be mastered by your moods? Will you allow the noise to control your path, or will you stand still and let your calm carve the way? Because in a world that moves too fast and reacts too quickly, calm is your edge, calm is your armor, calm is your power. Calmness is not weakness, it is self-mastery in motion. At first glance, the world may convince you otherwise. Society often applauds loud voices, rapid movements, and outward displays of dominance. We are conditioned to associate power with noise, with intensity, with an aggressive command of space. But if you observe the true masters of life, those who build legacies rather than moments, you will find a common thread woven through their character, a steady, composed, and unshakable calm. It is not the absence of feeling, nor the lack of energy, but the refined control of one's inner world. The man who reacts quickly to every challenge with emotional volatility may seem powerful in the moment, but he is at the mercy of external conditions. His strength is borrowed, not built. He gives others the power to pull his strings, to dictate his mood, to control his decisions. That is not power. That is slavery to impulse. Real strength begins when you choose not to react, when you create space between stimulus and response, when you do not allow every disturbance to shatter your inner balance. In that space lies your ability to think, to choose, to remain steady while others shake. Calmness is the product of self-awareness and discipline. It does not arrive by accident, and it does not live in those who have not earned it. It is built, brick by brick, through conscious effort. Through observation of your own thoughts, through reflection, and through the deliberate refusal to let the outside world dictate the state of your inner one. A calm individual is not someone who feels nothing. It is someone who governs what they feel. It is someone who knows that emotions are powerful servants but dangerous masters, and who chooses to harness that energy rather than be consumed by it. You see, when a person remains calm, they remain free. Free from the influence of those who try to provoke them. Free from the chaos of the moment, free from the illusion that life must be met with frenzy. Calmness grants you access to higher reasoning, to clear judgment, to measured decisions. When others are driven by fear or anger or the need to prove themselves, the calm mind operates with intention. It does not move unless the movement serves a purpose. It does not speak unless the words carry weight. This kind of restraint is not a lack of passion. It is the channeling of passion through controlled will. It is strength aimed in every field: business, battle, leadership, art. The calm mind is the masterful mind. The general who wins wars is not the one who panics when the plan collapses, but the one who keeps his composure and adapts. The entrepreneur who builds a fortune is not the one who chases every noise in the market, but the one who stays still long enough to see the real opportunity. The leader who inspires lasting loyalty is not the one who dominates through fear, but the one who remains unshaken in crisis, giving others something firm to stand on. Calmness is not passive, it is powerful. It is deliberate, and it commands results. There is an illusion in the modern world that urgency is always noble, that if you are not moving fast, you are not moving at all. But speed without direction leads to ruin. It is the calm person who sets the course, while others rush into action out of fear of missing out. The calm mind pauses to understand. While others act from anxiety, the calm individual acts from strategy. Calmness allows you to conserve your energy for the battles that matter. It gives you the patience to wait, the clarity to see, and the strength to act when the time is right. Self-mastery, then, begins with the decision to be calm. Not just when things are easy, but especially when they are not. Anyone can feel calm on a peaceful morning. It is when the storm comes that calmness becomes a test and a tool. In the face of criticism, insult, or rejection, calmness allows you to respond instead of react. It allows you to choose dignity over drama, and it protects your time, your energy, and your mind from being hijacked by trivial forces. That is the highest form of personal power, to remain unmoved by what does not deserve to move you. You must understand this calmness is a habit. It is something you cultivate by practicing stillness in your mind before stillness is ever required in the moment. It is built through silence, through patience, through resisting the urge to always answer back or prove yourself right. It is choosing to be guided by principle rather than emotion. It is looking at the bigger picture rather than getting trapped in temporary feelings. The calm person is not the one who suppresses their truth, but the one who delivers it with clarity and control. That is the kind of voice that is remembered. That is the kind of presence that is respected. When you are calm, you can hear more. You can see more. You are not lost in your own reactions. You are in the present, fully aware, fully engaged. Calmness sharpens your instincts and makes you a better listener. It allows you to notice what others miss, and that, in itself, gives you an edge. Not because you are louder, but because you are more aware. You are more grounded. You are more intentional, and in a world full of noise, those who are intentional always rise. Power does not have to be shouted. It can be quiet. It can be still. It can be the presence that enters a room and changes its temperature without saying a word. That is the power of calm. It communicates confidence. It shows that you do not fear silence, that you do not need to prove your worth through aggression or arrogance. You know who you are. You are not here to perform. You are here to win, not by force but by control, not by dominance but by direction. Calmness gives you that control over your mind, over your mood, over your mission. In truth, calmness is one of the most strategic tools you can possess. It allows you to see people as they are, rather than through the lens of your own agitation. It protects your relationships, it strengthens your leadership, and it keeps you aligned with what matters. The undisciplined person seeks to conquer others. The calm person conquers self. That is the higher path. That is the path of sustained power. And so, when you walk into the world, do not be deceived by the noise. Do not feel that you must match the chaos of your surroundings to be effective. Your calmness is your clarity. Your calmness is your confidence. And more than that, your calmness is your command. Every time you choose not to react, every time you stay centered under pressure, you are not just preserving peace, you are proving strength. And in doing so, you become the kind of person who cannot be pushed, pulled, or played. You become the kind of person who leads silently, powerfully, unshakably. That is self, mastery in motion. That is the essence of calm. There is no greater advantage in life than the ability to think clearly, and there is no clearer mind than one that is calm. The world around you is loud, full of distractions, opinions, demands, and deadlines. It is constantly shifting, pulling at your attention, provoking your emotions, and tempting you to act before you understand. But in the midst of all that noise, the calm mind becomes your sanctuary. It becomes the place where clarity is born, where strategy is sharpened, and where action, when it comes, is not random, but razor, focused. When a mind is agitated, it cannot think clearly, it cannot reason with accuracy, it cannot distinguish between signal and noise, between truth and reaction. Emotional disturbance clouds judgment, distorts perception, and weakens resolve. But a calm mind sees things as they are. It strips away distortion and brings things into focus. It allows the thinker to ask the right questions, to analyze without panic, and to arrive at decisions not driven by fear, but by principle. The person with a calm mind is not a person who has fewer problems. In fact, they often carry more responsibility, more pressure, and more expectations than others. But what separates them is that they do not allow the pressure to penetrate their clarity. They have cultivated the discipline of stillness within. That stillness is not stagnation, it is not inaction, it is readiness, it is awareness. It is the foundation upon which precise thinking is built. Because you cannot aim when your hands are shaking, and you cannot make good decisions when your mind is in chaos. Those who achieve greatly are not simply those who work harder, but those who think better. And better thinking is impossible without mental calm. If you are constantly reacting, constantly defending, constantly emotionally charged, your thinking is clouded. You are operating on impulse, not intelligence. And impulse can never replace insight. Calmness, on the other hand, gives you room to evaluate. It slows time in moments when others feel rushed. It puts space between what happens to you and how you choose to respond. That space is sacred. That space is power. In the quiet mind, ideas take shape. Options become visible. Risks are weighed with logic, not emotion. You do not rush to conclusions, you examine facts. You do not speak to be heard, you speak to be understood. You do not act to escape discomfort, you act to create direction. This is how decisive action is born, not in the rush of emotion, but in the stillness of preparation. The calm mind listens longer, it waits until the right moment. And then, when it moves with confidence, because the decision has been tested by thought, not clouded by chaos. Calmness also gives you an upper hand in environments where others are overwhelmed. Whether in negotiation, leadership, conflict, or crisis, calmness is your competitive edge. It disarms those who seek to provoke you. It gives you leverage over those who cannot control their tempers. And it makes you the person others look to when the path is unclear. Why? Because calmness communicates certainty. It signals composure. It reflects trust in oneself. And that trust spreads. The calm mind not only thinks clearly, it helps others do the same. It stabilizes teams. It influences decisions. It becomes a source of strength in unstable times. You do not need to know all the answers to be calm. You only need to know that you can think clearly enough to find them. Panic does not produce solutions. It only multiplies confusion. But when you train your mind to remain composed, even in the face of uncertainty, you begin to access higher levels of thought. You begin to separate what matters from what is noise. You begin to approach each problem not with dread, but with direction. People often ask, how do I become more confident? The answer at its root is calm thinking. Confidence is not the absence of doubt. It is the presence of preparation. And preparation is only effective when it is built upon a mind that can think without the interference of fear. Calmness allows you to prepare better. It allows you to rehearse your options, to test your ideas, and to develop the kind of mental resilience that does not break under pressure. That kind of preparation becomes confidence, and that confidence becomes action. Action by itself is not power. Anyone can act, but decisive action, strategic, timely, and intentional action, is the kind that changes circumstances. And that kind of action is only born from a calm and deliberate mind. The person who strikes too early often misses. The person who moves without thought often regrets. But the person who waits, not out of fear, but out of readiness, often strikes with precision. That is the result of calmness. It doesn't slow you down. It lines you up for a better shot. A calm mind is also deeply connected to intuition. People think intuition is some kind of mystical power, but it is not. It is often the product of a quiet and well-trained mind that has learned to listen to patterns beneath the surface. When your mind is calm, you hear those patterns, you notice what others overlook, you sense the subtleties. You can tell when something is off or when something is right, not because you guessed, but because your perception is sharp. Calmness improves your perception, and perception improves your timing. In any competitive field, timing is everything. And only a calm mind is equipped to act when the time is truly right. The greatest thinkers in history did not build their philosophies in a hurry. They withdrew, they sat in solitude, they cultivated calmness, because they knew that the mind, when disturbed, cannot create lasting ideas. It can mimic, it can copy, it can make noise, but it cannot innovate. Innovation is born in stillness. Insight is born in observation. And observation is only possible when the mind is calm enough to see without bias, without distraction, and without noise. In your daily life, this principle applies in every area. Whether you are making financial decisions, handling conflict, planning your future, or simply choosing how to respond to difficulty, your greatest ally is your calm mind. Not every situation requires urgency. Not every insult requires a response. Not every opportunity requires immediate action, but every situation benefits from accurate thought. And accurate thought is only possible when your mind is calm enough to evaluate, discern, and choose wisely. So if you seek to make better choices, if you want to be more effective in your work, more composed in your relationships, more deliberate in your habits, then start with the state of your mind. Train it to remain calm even when the world is not. Build habits that restore your inner clarity, whether through silence, solitude, reflection, or restraint. The method may vary, but the result will not. A calm mind is the soil where power grows. From that soil springs better thinking. And from better thinking comes action that does not just move, it builds. It is one of the simplest things in the world to react emotionally, to raise your voice when you are disrespected, to lash out when something doesn't go your way, to defend yourself with aggression, to argue, to panic, to respond without thinking, simply because the moment triggered a feeling. This is the natural state of the undisciplined mind. It feels something, and it acts. It is governed not by principle, not by purpose, but by impulse. And while such reactions might feel powerful in the moment, they are not strength. They are surrender, surrender to emotion, surrender to outside forces, surrender to the ego. Real power lies in restraint, in the pause, in the ability to feel everything, and still choose your response. This is not an easy thing. In fact, it is one of the most difficult achievements in life. But it is also one of the most essential if you intend to rise above the average, the reactive, the distracted. Remaining calm is a sign that you are no longer ruled by the immediate. It means you've matured beyond the need to prove yourself in every situation. You are no longer controlled by the urge to win arguments, to make noise, or to punish the world for not bending to your will. To remain calm when insulted is to show that your self-worth is not tied to anyone else's opinion. To remain calm under pressure is to demonstrate that your mind, not your environment, determines your direction. To remain calm when provoked is to display mastery over the most difficult battlefield of all, your own emotions. That is power, not the kind of power that crumbles when tested, but the kind that expands. that grows stronger the more it is challenged. You see, reacting emotionally requires no discipline, no awareness, no training. It is what the undisciplined do by default, but those who aspire to lead, to achieve, to master their destiny, must walk a different path. That path requires observation, it requires presence, it requires you to notice the emotion rising, and then choose whether or not to act on it. That is the space where transformation happens. That space between stimulus and response is where your true character is forged. There will be many moments in life where you feel the fire rising within. Someone disrespects you, a plan fails, an opportunity is lost, a friend betrays you. These moments tempt you to explode, to prove something, to act on impulse. But what will that reaction truly give you? Perhaps a fleeting sense of release, but almost always it leaves behind damage, words you cannot take back, decisions you cannot reverse, energy you cannot reclaim. The reactive mind is not a powerful mind, it is a slave to emotion. Now consider the one who feels the same emotions but does not let them lead. That person does not deny what they feel. They simply do not act blindly on those feelings. They allow the emotion to pass through, and then they act based on principle. That is the highest form of self-control. It does not come easily. It must be practiced, and the practice begins with awareness of your breathing, your body, your thoughts, your triggers. Each time you resist the urge to react emotionally, you strengthen your ability to respond with intention. This is not about suppressing your emotions. Suppression is dangerous. It creates pressure beneath the surface. But regulation is strength. It is acknowledging the emotion, sitting with it, examining it, and then deciding what to do with it. Sometimes you will still speak firmly. Sometimes you will walk away. Sometimes you will act with great intensity. But you will do so by choice, not by default. You will act because you mean to, not because you were overwhelmed. In every room, in every conflict, there is power in the one who remains calm. Others may yell, but they do not listen. Others may argue, but they do not persuade. Others may panic, but they do not lead. Calmness is what allows you to observe what others miss. It gives you the advantage of clarity, and clarity, in a chaotic world, is a rare and valuable asset. While others are distracted by their emotional responses, you stay focused on your objectives. Emotions are not your enemy, they are signals. They tell you something is happening that needs your attention, but they are not commands. You do not have to obey them. You are not required to act on every feeling. You are not a machine. You are a mind with the power to pause, to choose, and to direct your energy. And that power is what separates the mature from the immature, the master from the follower, the architect from the wanderer. Remaining calm is not weakness, it is a higher form of intelligence, it is mental discipline, it is emotional maturity. When people say something hurtful and you do not flinch, because you know who you are, that is strength. When things fall apart and you do not lose your head, because you know how to rebuild, that is strength. When everything feels urgent and you still move slowly and deliberately, that is strength. That is the kind of strength the world respects, even if it doesn't understand it in the moment. You must also understand this. People will test you. Life will test you, not to destroy you, but to reveal you to yourself. Every emotional trigger is a lesson. Every difficult moment is a mirror. You will see who you are when you are pushed. And if you do not like what you see, that is your opportunity to grow. You are not meant to be perfect. You are meant to become more powerful every time you choose calm over chaos. Train yourself to stay quiet when you want to shout. Train yourself to listen when you want to speak. Train yourself to pause when you want to act. This does not mean inaction. It means intentional action. It means reclaiming your power from your emotions and giving it back to your purpose. When you do that, you will no longer feel like a prisoner of life. You will begin to feel like its author. This discipline of calm will also affect how people treat you. They will see that they cannot manipulate you with anger. They cannot provoke you into foolish decisions. They cannot pull you into their drama. You become untouchable, not because you fight harder, but because you refuse to be drawn into battles that do not deserve your energy. That kind of control is magnetic. It draws people in, they trust it, they follow it, they respect it. You cannot lead others if you cannot lead yourself, and leadership begins with emotional control. Not the cold avoidance of feeling, but the mature mastery of it. So the next time you are tempted to react, ask yourself, what would the calmest, strongest, most powerful version of myself do right now? Ask that version to take the wheel. Let your power speak not through force, but through poise. Let it be known not through outbursts, but through your silence, your stability, and your strategy. Because in a world where everyone is reacting, the one who remains calm becomes the one who decides. When all is well, it is easy to appear composed. When things go according to plan, when no one is challenging you, when results arrive as expected, it requires little strength to remain calm, but the real measure of a person is not found in comfort. It is found in adversity, when the plan collapses, when you are misunderstood, underestimated, or even betrayed, when everything around you begins to fall apart. That is when your true level of control is exposed. Calmness in such moments is not natural. It is earned. It is built over time. It is the fruit of mental discipline, self-awareness, and inner mastery. You cannot fake calmness in adversity. The eyes give it away. The voice betrays it. The posture breaks it. And most importantly, the decisions you make under pressure speak louder than your words. Anyone can act composed until life applies force. But when the storm comes, when you are truly tested, that is when your level of self-control is no longer an idea, but a fact. Either you have it or you don't, and if you do not, adversity will reveal the cracks. Why does calmness matter so much in hard times? Because difficulty is a magnifier. It makes everything louder, more urgent, more uncertain. And in that space, your instinct may scream for you to panic, to blame, to give up, or to act out. But calmness gives you the power to respond rather than react. It places you above the chaos rather than inside it. It is what allows you to see through the fog and make decisions not driven by fear, but by principle. True power is being surrounded by problems and still thinking with precision, still listening, still observing, still choosing your words, your pace, your strategy with intention. This does not mean you are emotionless. It means your emotions serve you rather than control you, and that ability is not developed during the storm. It is revealed during the storm. It is developed in all the days before, in the quiet, in the practice, in the habits of restraint, reflection, and patience. Those who are great under pressure are not lucky. They are prepared. They have studied themselves. They have trained their minds to operate even when the world does not cooperate. They have made peace with the fact that difficulty is inevitable, and that losing control only makes it worse. So they do not rely on things going right. They rely on their ability to remain right within, no matter what happens without. That is why they are trusted in crisis. That is why they are followed when others hesitate. Because calmness in adversity is a rare trait, and rare traits create influence. Adversity is also a filter. It shows you what actually matters. It removes the distractions, the noise, the unnecessary drama. When everything is at risk, you begin to see with new clarity. And if you are calm, that clarity becomes your weapon. You are no longer distracted by how things were supposed to go. You are focused on what you must now do. You are not panicking about what was lost. You are evaluating what remains. You are not angry about being tested. You are using the test to refine your next move. That mindset is only available to those who are calm. Everyone else is consumed by reaction. Even in personal life, you will face trials that test the very core of your identity, relationships that fall apart, careers that hit ceilings, dreams that stall. The emotional weight of these moments can be overwhelming, but calmness allows you to hold that weight without being crushed. It allows you to feel deeply, but act wisely. It allows you to carry grief, frustration, or disappointment without passing that pain on to others or turning it into destructive action. That is strength, and that strength is born from calm. In leadership, calmness during adversity is not optional. It is required. People do not follow titles. They follow steadiness. In moments of crisis, your calmness gives others permission to calm down. your ability to keep your voice level, to keep your mind sharp, to ask the right questions when everyone else is losing direction. This is what sets you apart. It is not about pretending the problem doesn't exist. It is about refusing to let the problem define your state of mind. And make no mistake, adversity will come. There is no version of life where you are exempt from pressure, pain, or difficulty. But what you can do is prepare for it by mastering your response. You can train your nervous system to return to stillness. You can condition your thoughts to search for solutions. You can wire your identity around the principle that nothing external controls your internal power. That mindset, practiced daily, becomes your armor in the hardest battles. But calmness in adversity also means letting go of the need to control everything. It means accepting uncertainty, not with fear, but with focus. It is the ability to say, "This is not how I planned it, but I will respond to it with clarity." It is trusting yourself to adapt, to pivot, to survive and grow, not because the conditions are favorable, but because you are. This self-trust is one of the highest forms of power, and it cannot coexist with panic. Panic says, "I cannot handle this." Calm says, "Whatever this is, I will handle it." The greatest decisions you will make in life will not be when you are comfortable. They will come when everything is uncertain, when the stakes are high, when time is short, and when emotion is heavy. Those are the moments that build or break you, and what determines the outcome is not the situation. It is the level of calmness you bring to it. If you allow the situation to control you, you will act from fear. If you control your state, you will act from purpose. Adversity is not just a challenge, it is an invitation to rise above what you were yesterday, to tap into a version of yourself that is not reactive but composed, not emotional but strategic, not desperate but deliberate. Every difficult moment carries this hidden opportunity to grow your level of control. Not over others, not over outcomes, but over yourself. And once you master that, no adversity can master you. In fact, those who rise the highest are often those who remained the calmest when things fell apart. Their calmness allowed them to see what others missed, to move when others froze, to think when others collapsed. They are not remembered because they never faced adversity. They are remembered because they responded to it with power. A power that came not from force or volume, but from inner stillness, from an unshakable calm that refused to let the outside world dictate their inner world. That calmness is available to you, not by wishing for it, but by working on it. By noticing your reactions, observing your thoughts, and choosing, again and again, not to surrender your state of mind to circumstances. Because once you can remain calm in adversity, you stop being a victim of life's storms. You become the navigator, the one who holds the wheel, the one who others depend on, the one who does not just survive adversity, but grows stronger because of it. When a mind is calm, it does not rush. It does not stumble. It does not react simply for the sake of doing something. It observes. It processes. It decides. The calm mind is a powerful mind, not because it is passive, but because it is precise. It does not waste energy on noise. It does not let emotion cloud judgment. It filters what matters from what doesn't. That is where true wisdom lives, not in the noise of haste, but in the quiet of clarity. Most people live in a state of reaction. The world pulls them in every direction. They are overwhelmed by opinions, by pressure, by deadlines, by the constant temptation to be seen, heard, and validated. They move fast, not because they know where they are going, but because they are afraid to fall behind. They act not out of strategy, but out of fear. But the one who has trained their mind to remain calm, even in the midst of all this noise, operates on a different level. A calm mind has an edge. It listens while others argue. It thinks while others shout. It studies while others panic. It is not easily provoked. It is not distracted by shallow criticism or fleeting trends. It is centered, and because it is centered, it can choose the most effective path while others are chasing every option. That calmness is not natural. It is the result of disciplined thinking, of stepping back before stepping forward, of pausing before acting, of reflecting before reacting. A person with a calm mind does not rush to judgment. They do not assume. They observe patterns. They look beneath the surface. They understand that what appears urgent is not always important. They know that fast decisions made in chaos often lead to regret. So they slow down, not because they are unsure, but because they value wisdom over impulse. That alone separates them from the crowd. When you calm your mind, you begin to see how much of the world runs on fear. People react to headlines. They fight battles that aren't theirs. They speak before understanding. They seek comfort in movement, thinking that activity equals progress. But motion without direction is just distraction. A calm mind, on the other hand, chooses direction first, and then moves with purpose. It may not be loud, it may not look dramatic, but it is always deliberate. In business, in leadership, in relationships, the calmest mind is often the one in control. Not by force, but by clarity, because clarity brings influence. When you can speak from a place of calm understanding, people listen. When you act with calm certainty, people follow. It's not because you demanded power, it's because you embodied it. The storm may surround you, but the storm never enters you. That is a rare strength. That is a leadership quality that cannot be taught in a classroom. It is forged in the daily decision to master your inner world. Wisdom is not a gift that falls from the sky. It is built in silence, in observation, in waiting, in reflection. The calm mind is not afraid of silence. It is not afraid to sit still. It understands that insight comes not when we are frantically thinking, but when we are quietly aware. That space between thoughts, between stimulus and response, is where insight lies. That space is where your next breakthrough is waiting, not in the noise, but in the stillness. When you are calm, you make better decisions. You do not speak words you regret. You do not burn bridges that may need to be crossed later. You do not take actions that cost you your peace, your reputation, or your focus. You choose your battles wisely. You understand that not everything deserves your energy. That kind of wisdom, the wisdom to conserve your energy for what truly matters, is the mark of someone who is rising above the level of reaction and stepping into mastery. A calm mind is also a resilient mind, because when the world shakes, the mind that is grounded in stillness does not crumble. It adapts, it adjusts, it does not get swept away by the tide of emotion or the chaos of the moment. It bends, but it does not break. It pivots, but it does not panic. That is the kind of mind that builds empires. That is the kind of mind that survives crisis, that sees opportunity in disaster, and that turns problems into stepping stones. But to develop such a mind requires training. It requires patience. You must learn to watch your thoughts like a guard at the gate. You must learn to question your impulses. You must develop the discipline to pause, not just when things are calm, but especially when they are not. That pause is where your power lies. That pause is where wisdom whispers. That pause is the birthplace of great decisions. It also means choosing your environment. The calm mind does not flourish in chaos. You must protect your mind like the most valuable asset you own. Limit your exposure to noise, drama, and emotional pollution. Spend time in stillness. Reflect often. Read deeply. Listen carefully. Think slowly. These are not luxuries. They are disciplines. They are what separate the mind that is shaped by the world from the mind that shapes the world. When others rush to act, you wait for the right moment. When others are lost in emotional confusion, you find your footing in clarity. When others move 10 steps in the wrong direction, you take 1 step in the right one. You are not in a race. You are building a legacy, and a legacy is not built in panic. It is built with precision, with wisdom, with patience, and all of those are the product of a calm mind. Even in your personal development, this matters. A calm mind learns faster. It retains more. It is open to correction without defensiveness. It is focused on growth, not on ego. It does not need to prove anything to anyone. It is confident in silence. That confidence is rare. It does not shout. It does not argue. It simply is, and because of that, it stands tall even when no one is watching. The calm mind is also powerful because it does not chase. It attracts, it does not beg, it builds, it does not rush, it rises. In every room, people feel its presence, not because it demands attention, but because it radiates certainty. That certainty comes from within, and nothing external can give it to you. It must be cultivated, it must be earned. So train your mind daily, watch your emotions, learn to respond, not react, learn to breathe before speaking, learn to think before deciding. Learn to wait before acting. Each of these is a small act of power, and the more you stack these small acts, the stronger your mind becomes, until one day you realize you are no longer ruled by noise. You are no longer driven by urgency. You are no longer lost in the crowd. You have become the one who sees clearly, who acts wisely, who moves deliberately. You have become the one with the calm mind. And in a world of confusion, that is your greatest advantage.